This is my brand new PXN arcade stick that I modded with my PS4 controller motherboard. Okay, so this is not the exact the actual manufacturer setup. Okay, the actual manufacturer setup will look like this. Okay, so the colorful buttons, these four buttons are between these buttons. Okay, L1, L2, R1, R2. I was not able to play efficiently with this manufacturer setup, and that's why I decided to set up like this, like the other arcade stick available in the market. So now this becomes I rearranged the button setup, and now this becomes the square, triangle, X, and the circle. So taking the reference to, with the PS4 controller to make it easy, this is the X, this circle, this triangle, this, and square this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the L1, L2, R1, R2, like this one. Okay, L1, L2, and here R1, R2. Share button that is here is this button. Okay, and the options button that you see here is this one, and the touchpad button, okay, is this button, and the PS button that you see here is this one now. Okay, PS button. Okay, let me show you how I did the configuration inside. Alright, here is the inside look. Okay, so this is this motherboard. This is the PS4 controller motherboard, and beside here you will see the battery. This is the directions button, and between this are the push buttons. Sorry for all these messy wires. I just let it remain like that. So and here, if you see, there is a paper. So I kept this paper to make it like an insulator between these wires. And if you remove this paper, you will see that there is one board as well. So to give the paper is to give insulation from these connectors wiring with these board wirings. Okay, so that it doesn't touch with each other. And this time I have made the wire connections in a connector, in a 4-pin 2-pin connector and 8 connector system, so that in case if my this PS4 controller motherboard doesn't work due to some kind of faulty, or if I want to replace this, or if I want to for example, if I purchase PS5 console, and if I would like to mod it the PS5 controller with this stick, then I can do that as well. Let me show you my PS4 controller motherboard from the other side. This is the USB charger connector. Okay, and this is the battery connector, the 2-pin battery connector. Okay, I've already taken this out. So this is the battery. I hot glue it so that it can be not able to move it. Okay, and this is the the other side of the motherboard. Okay, so like I explained in my previous arcade stick video, I'm going to show you with the diagram as well. So this motherboard is also the same model, which is the JMD 055. Okay, so this is the left analog, right analog, and these are the terminals. Okay, and it will be counted from left to right. So let's go to the diagram. Okay, this is the diagram. I'm holding the PS button like this. Okay, trying to press up, down, left, right. Left analog will be here, right analog will be here. 1 2 3 4, R1 R2, L1 L2. Okay, so this is the terminal count from left to right, and label test 1 2 3 4 till 19. Okay, so the same terminal connections are equally applied for these motherboard connections as well. And in my previous video I explained about about using only the high quality wiring. Okay, so I also explained in my previous video that if we use the low quality wiring, then it will take a lot of time to attach to the terminals, that it will overheat before it can attach to it, and the track will come out, right? So this time it happened to this motherboard, okay, to one of the terminals, and that's where I figured out I tracked the broken terminal, and I found that that terminal was connected to somewhere here. Okay, and that's how I scratched out the green carbon color, and I soldered it with the wire, and I have hot glued them to make it solidified. Okay, and this connections goes to somewhere here. And this is the USB cable for charging to the battery. Okay, and I've also hot glued this small board, the USB board, so that it doesn't move. And I don't know if you have ever tried it or not. This controller, PS4 controller, it works without the battery. Okay, if you remove the battery connection, and it will still work, but for that, in order this controller to work, you will need to connect the you will need to connect your console with the USB. I'm trying to explain the connections, but due to the messy wire, I'm not able to explain how should I do it. Okay, let me try to explain. Okay, so before going to this portion, let me go to the diagram. So let me explain. So this is the assume that this is the controller, and I'm trying to hold the up, down, right, left. Okay, here should be the left analog, right analog, 1 2 3 4, R1 R2, L1 L2. Okay, so the first four are the connections for the L1 L2, L1R, and L2R. Here in the L1R and the L2R, R is the resistor. Okay, and these two connections, 3 and 4, that has the R, L2R and L1R. These two connections will require a resistor. Okay, this is the ground connection for L1 and L2 respectively. and similarly for the R1, R1R, R2 and R2R. Okay, so for ground connection for R1 is R1R, and ground connection for R2 is R2R. Okay, so these two connections are the ground for R1 and R2 respectively, that would require a resistor. So moving forward, 1, 2, 3, 4 are for these L1, L2 connections. 5th is for the right, 6 is up, 7 is left, 8 is for down, and 9th connection, counting from left to right, is the ground that shares for the up button, right, left, down, PS button, X circle and triangle. Okay, and after that, 10th is for the PS button, 11 is X, 12 is circle, 13 is triangle. After that, 14, 15, 16 and 17 are for the R1R, R1, R2 and R2R. And the last two terminals, which are 18 and 19, these two terminals are the connections for the square, and square is the only connection that do not require a shared ground connection. Okay, and this may be only applicable for the JMD 055. I'm not sure about the other model. It may be closely equal, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, let's move to the board, motherboard connection section. Okay, here is the connections on the stick. This is the directional inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, L1, L2, R1, R2, and here this is the L1, and L1 connection is this. Okay, this one, and for the L2, this one. So this is L1 and this is L2, and as I explained in the diagram, this is the L1, this connection. Okay, this connection is the L1, and this connection. Okay, are you able to see that? The green wire, this connection is the L2, and this black one, this one should be the L2R, that is the ground connection that requires a resistor for the L2. Okay, and here for this one, the white wire, that is the ground connection for L1 that requires a resistor. So in the diagram, I explained you that L1R and the L2R are the ground connections that needs to connect through a resistor. So this is the resistor, and it is connected to the L1R and the L1R and the L2R. Okay, so same way for same connections, the same connections is applied for the R1R and the R2R as well. So for the directional buttons and the push buttons, for this the connections are a bit easier for me especially, and the only challenges that I faced for this to mod this arcade stick is about the share button options, PS, and the touchpad button. Okay, this board, so this board, initially it looked like this, and I broke it into two halves Okay. So the challenges that I faced was on this connections for the 2-pin, and after I have taken out the 2-pin these 2-pin connections were soldered here from the manufacturer's side. So I took this out so that I can make it a little bit more easier for me. Okay, so this is the back side where the soldering was done for the 2-pin connectors. Okay, so after I broke it into 2 pieces, let's look on the other side. Okay, so these connections, if you're able to see it, for this one, these connections, they won't be required, okay, because after the directional and push buttons, the only remaining buttons are the 4 buttons those are share, options, touchpad, and the PS button. Okay, so this is the share button, the options, the touchpad, and the PS button. And if you can see on the board, I have marked some scratch marks to scratch out all the green carbon with this tool. Okay, reason why I did that was to isolate the connections of each buttons, that is to isolate the PS button, to isolate the touchpad button, to isolate the options, and to isolate the share button. Okay, if I do not do that, then the all these ground connections are equally shared on the board. Due to that reason, if you do not do this isolation cutout, it will give you sorting issue. Okay, due to that, all buttons will be freeze, and the only button that would be working is the PS button. So that was one of the most challenging thing that I experienced while modding this arcade stick. So as you can see that there are scratches, as you can see that I have scratched out all the green tracks to isolate each and every buttons. Same way I have scratched out some of the carbons as well at the back as well, like this, so that all these ground connections on the board, okay, at the front and on the back, all these are connected. So in order to, if you do not for example, if you scratch out the carbon from the front, and if you do not scratch out at the back, then it will still give you the common ground connection, and ultimately it will lead you to the sorting issue. So to avoid the sorting issue, or to overcome the sorting issue, you have to do the scratch of the carbon at the front and at the back as well. Okay, like this. Okay, let's set this up. Okay, so it is kind of an improved version of the previous connections on how to DIY your arcade stick. Okay, with this is 8-pin or 2-pin ejector connector system. Okay, so by that I mean these 2 pins. Okay, this is the female and this is the male pin, 2-pin system. So in case if I would like to take this is the after the two pins connection. Okay, so if in case if I would like to take this out, I can simply take it out like like this. Okay, and then I can insert it to make them connected. So in case if I would like to replace this with a PS5 controller, okay, I will take out the PS5 controller motherboard, and I will solder all the wiring to the track of those terminals, and at the end of all the wirings, I'm going to solder it with these two pins, so that I can remove this and then connect it with the new connections of the PS4 controller motherboard, to make it a little bit more easier for me. It's like remove and reinsert the pin. Okay, so let me insert this paper. Okay, so and here one point that I would like to explain. This is the small board that will give you connections to the charging, for the USB charging, and the LED light. Okay, the LED light that you see at the back front of your PS4 controller. Let me show you that. So if you on the controller, at the front back you will see the LED lighting, right? This one, this lighting. Let me show you on this arcade stick. So I've closed this now. So if you look it closely here, this is the PS button, this is the touchpad, options, and share. Okay, so as I explained about the LED lighting, here is the LED lighting that I have fixed on this PXN arcade stick. So if I turn it on, that LED lighting will shown here. Okay, so this is the PS button. Let me turn it on. Okay, so you see that, right? This is the LED lighting. Alright, I'm going to connect it to my PS4. Okay, it's asking me to right now I have not connected this stick to USB. I'm connecting it through Bluetooth. Okay, so let's log in. Let's confirm this one. Okay, so let's do the test. Okay, I'm on the screen. So now that my PXN arcade stick is successfully connected to my PS4 console, it is giving me the blue light LED. Okay, let's go to the practice mode. Confirm. Press down to practice. Confirm. To side left. Confirm. Okay, let's do the testing. Okay, right, left, up, down, side step, okay, 1 2 3 4. Okay, let's do the string for Jin. 1 2 4, 1 2 3, 2 1 4, 2 1 4 delay. Okay, okay, that's it. The lighting is still on blue. Alright, that's it. So in case if you would like to make the arcade stick on your own or modify your existing arcade stick without the need of external or universal controller motherboard or the zero delay kit, if you know how to do this soldering, or if you have the basic soldering idea, you can always mod it with your PS4 controller motherboard. And say for example, if you have tournament grade arcade stick, and if you that is compatible for the PS4, and if you have upgraded to PS5 console, and if you are not able to use the current arcade stick to the PS5, where it is not compatible, you can always use this method on how to mod it with your current arcade stick with your PS4 controller motherboard or PS5 controller motherboard. You can always use this video as a reference, and my previous video as well on how I made my PS4 arcade stick, and you should be able to do it. Alright, good luck.